This summer, I had the great opportunity to go to Italy and visit Alpinestars' world headquarters in person. Now, the world headquarters for Alpinestars is located in a little town called Resole that lies about an hour outside of Venice. Now, it's actually an ancient, medieval, walled city that dates back thousands of years. The village itself lies just outside of the famous Dolomite Mountains and therefore is a mecca for cyclists to come and train for their hill climbs. Now, this tiny town is beyond picturesque, with countless tiny shops and cafes. There's an old abbey and even a castle that sits high atop the city. The setting couldn't be more storybook-like as a backdrop for what has become one of the biggest names in motorcycle gear. Alpinestars actually has two different buildings in Resole. The first is the original headquarters. The Resole family actually lived in that building as well when the company was still new. It started as a hiking boot company in the 60s, and the Alpinestars name came from the Alpinestar flower, which in the US is called Edelweiss. Now, that flower is the highest altitude growing flower in the Alps. I think the fact that the company name is in English shows the depth of the vision that Santi Mazzarello had for the company all those years ago when it was founded. At that original facility, which is now the Safety Development Center, most of the design work is done as well as some of the production. On the main floor in the front are the design offices, where designers work to create the most cutting-edge designs for all sectors of the motorsports industry. Unfortunately, we weren't allowed to film in those areas, but trust me when I say they're working on some really exciting things. As you go toward the back half of the building, you walk out into a production center, and that room is filled with dozens and dozens of sewing machines all around the room. This production facility is where all the custom race suits are made, the production samples and one-offs are constructed, and pretty much anything else that is a unique piece is manufactured for, say, MotoGP or even Formula One. I instantly took note of one of the sewing machines in the center where a woman was sewing a bright orange race suit. I went over to check it out and realized that it was in fact Dani Pedrosa's race suit. I stood there for quite a while watching her construct the suit, really taking it all in. It was amazing to see how much skill she had to be able to really manipulate the leather, get everything just perfect. She trimmed every thread, checked every seam, and handled the race suit with such incredible care. It's one thing to see a race suit hanging on the rack or on a rider on the track. It's something else entirely to see the real human element that goes behind creating something like that. Toward the back, there was a woman who would take the race suits as they came off the line, and she would double check that all the threads had been clipped. She would put the armor inside the suit, and then I saw her pull out a binder. She started flipping through the pages once she'd finished with the suit. I asked our tour guide what she was doing, and apparently all the race suits go through a cataloging process from the time that they're born through their retirement. Anytime they're worked on or touched at Alpinestars, that event is recorded in great detail. To another side of the room, there was a guy cutting plain white race suit pieces by hand. I didn't understand at first why they were cutting plain white fabric for all the pieces, because you pretty much never see a solid white race suit. It's then that we walked into a room hidden off to one side that housed one of the largest printers I've ever seen, attached to an equally large table. Here, those white pattern pieces are printed with the racer's custom graphics. And by using that machine, racers don't have to sew on patches, which would then add weight to the race suit. The graphics can be changed out much more frequently that way, as opposed to back in the day when it was patches. The printer prints suit pieces like you would print paper out of your printer at work, and not just suits, but they can do that with boots as well. On the other wall, they were constructing all kinds of gloves for MotoGP and Formula One drivers, as well as the Formula One race suits. I got to hold one of the Formula One race suits, and it was crazy how incredibly light it was, despite the fact that it's actually 4 layers of fabric that are sewn together. Another huge manufacturing room was connected to that first large room and is home to a massive boot manufacturing facility. All of the boot samples are made in that facility, as well as the custom printed boots for the pro riders. Alpinestars has spent many years perfecting the foot shape that they use for the boots, and they use those molds to construct every single one of their boots. They have this huge Frankenstein-like machine that fuses the main boot to the sole, and it actually perfectly makes this foot cast that Alpinestars has created and perfected over the years. The process has been the same for many, many years, and it's easy to feel when you're watching it like you've gone back in time when you're standing in that manufacturing room. Alpinestars is also the only company in the US that currently can properly resole their own boots. The main headquarters is a newer building and houses most of the offices, the design staff, the showrooms, and the product testing. On the main floor are the offices and the showroom. It's an incredibly modern facility that effortlessly emulates the innovative style of Alpinestars. And then as you walk around the building, there are bikes, pictures, and gear throughout that really emphasize that love of their sport. Everyone was so incredibly welcoming to us and clearly excited to share their passion for the brand. We walked through a first level of security to get down to the basement, and it's obvious that there's a lot of innovation happening there, and they're very rightfully protective of it. As we walked downstairs, there was a wall that all the pro racers had signed when they came to visit Alpinestars. Beyond that lies the main design offices, where at that moment they were actually right then and there working on the 2018 gear line. We obviously couldn't film in that area either, but let's just say it made me very excited for what was to come. After that, we went into the testing facility, which is behind yet another level of security. In that area, all the products undergo really rigorous testing for safety and durability. It speaks volumes for Alpinestars that they do this all in-house. Most companies outsource their design, their sampling, their product testing, but Alpinestars does it right here so that they can actually see firsthand how their products are going to hold up over time. They had machines that tested for strength, durability, flame retardants, and even one to test how well the shoes and boots would hold up over time. They could test how well the colors would hold, how water resistant something was. It was easy for a company to say that their product performs well in extreme conditions, but it's something else entirely for a company to truly actually push their products to the limits so that they can say without a doubt that they're building the very best products for their customers. The last thing we got to do is preview the lines that don't release until 2017, and let me just say that it was perhaps the greatest honor of the entire trip. After seeing all the design, research, and testing that actually happens there in-house with all these products, it really changed the way that I now see the final product. Alpinestars is one of the biggest motorsport companies in the world, and that's not just because they're building phenomenal products that their consumers absolutely love, but it's because they themselves truly love the products that they're creating. The people working there were friendly, they were passionate and involved in the business and made us feel totally at home while we were there. They shared their products with us like they were introducing us to their children, and in doing so, that instilled in us a new sense of appreciation for the gear that we already loved. Alpinestars is innovating, that's always without a doubt, but now that we've seen what's coming down the line from Alpinestars, we're more excited than ever to share this product with our customers and really emphasize what makes this brand unique. This isn't just gear that's slapped together somewhere and sold to the lowest bidder. This is gear that has been built with love and passion and true heart for the industry, and honestly, that's something that is totally worth all of us getting excited about.